Now, here's a story about a rabbi, a great rabbi, one of the pupils of the Maggid of Mezrich. The Maggid of Mezrich, he was the one who filled the place of the Baal Shem Tov. He was a pupil of Baal Shem Tov. When the Baal Shem Tov passed away, so the Maggid of Mezrich, Dov Ber of Mezrich, he filled his place. And he had pupils, some people say 70 pupils, and one of them was a Reb Tzvi Aryeh, who eventually became a big rabbi in the city of Alik. Maybe he was born in Alik. Anyway, he was a big tzaddik in the city of Alik, which is a city in the Ukraine. And they always had a lot of trouble from the Ukrainians over there, anti-Semites, terrible anti-Semites. There were always problems, especially there were problems from the bishop. There was a bishop over there that really used to speak against the Jews, and every Sunday they would come back from their church, and the blame everything would be blamed on the Jews, and on the Jews they killed God and they killed this. Especially there was one main street of Alec where no Jew ever dared to go. There are all the the ruffians and all the hoodlums and all the people who didn't have anything to do. They would be there the whole day, and if a Jew happened to be there, he would be pelted with stones or beat up or whatever. So they never went. They had to go devious ways. It was always a big problem. But then what happened even worse was all of a sudden there was a plague, some sort of a plague of a disease broke out among all of the people, especially the children, and the children started to get sick. Gentiles and Jews alike, they became sick, and they by the Gentiles, of course, it was a terrible tragedy, but by the Jews, in a way, even more so because the Jews were like one, maybe 2% of the population. So if the same number Jews died as then, it was a terrible tragedy. So they didn't know what to do. So the people, they all gathered together in the synagogue and they prayed. What can Jews do? They prayed and they fasted. So Reb Aryeh, this is Reb Tzvi Aryeh of Alik. What's he going to do to save the Jews of Alik? One, he got an inspiration. And he asked the crowd, I want a young boy that knows how to run fast. Agile, he knows how to run. So they brought him one of the Jewish kids that happened to be, was hyperactive, and he gave him a bag of coins. He told everybody to give money, donate money, and they donated money, 160 golden coins. It was a pretty much of a fortune. So they donated all this money, and bought 160 golden coins with it. And he gave it to this boy who knew how to run. And he said, I want you to start at one end of the main street, and I want you to run to the other end. And as you go, throw these coins in a way that when you reach to the end, then that'll be the end of the coins. In other words, I want coins to be distributed as much as possible evenly. So, of course, usually a Jew would not even be able to get the first couple of yards on the street. He would be beaten up or whatever, yelled or hidden or even worse. But that's why he wanted a boy that knew how to run fast. So that's what the boy did. He started at one end, and the Rebbe of Alik, and then this Rabbi Tzvi Aryeh of Alik, he took the boy and he yelled out, "Everyone get ready! Everyone get ready! All you non-Jews get ready!" And everybody looked and see it, and the boy started to run. And as he ran, so everyone all of a sudden they grabbed sticks and everything, but he started throwing the money. So as soon as he started throwing money, so everybody pretty much dropped all of their weapons and their plans, and they just started scrambling for the money. And wherever he ran, and he dodged the people, and people sort of one or two tried to grab the bag from him, but he dodged them and he ran away from them. And also there were so many people that were running trying to pick up the money that he threw that they got in the way of everybody else. And finally, this boy amazingly got to the other end, and he had distributed this 160 coins. Why 160? They say it was some sort of a numerical gematria or some sort of a secret, but whatever it was, when he got to the other end, as that evening, all of the Jewish children became healthy. And by the non-Jews, the sickness rate rose. So everybody was on one hand, dealing with their children. On the other hand, they were happy they got the money. But on the other hand, the non-Jews, they were angry. What's going on? The Jewish children are getting better. And of course, the Jews sort of kept it quiet that they were getting better, but nevertheless, it was discovered. Well, when the bishop, when the whatever is the priest or whatever, when he heard about this, so he let out a big cry, I'm going to get these people. So he went to the Baron. The Baron he owned the whole entire area of Alik. He was like the whole, the governor or whatever, governor of Alik. Now, it happened to be that this governor of Alik, he was a non-Jew. He didn't particularly like the Jews. But on the other hand, he really hated the bishop. He hated the bishop, the priest, whatever. He hated him because he knew that he was more powerful than the priest, and that the priest really, really resented it. The priest wanted to have total control over everybody. And once in a while, even in his sermons, he would let out sort of like a dig, something against the governor, this governor, the whatever it's called, the governor, the baron, whatever it is called, the ruler of the whole area. So let's call him the governor. So this governor, the priest had no choice. He had no real political party. And the police, they were in the hands of the governor. So he went to the governor and he complained. And he said that the Jewish people, they caused this whole disease. They caused all the... And the governor said, how do you know the Jews caused it? I mean, everybody was sick. He said, yeah, but now they threw these coins and the Jews got better. And that's a sign that the Jews were controlling the whole thing all of the time. And they are the ones that were sick. They are the ones that caused it. Because of them, we're ill, and because of them, they're sick, and they steal our money, and they this and that. We really want, into it. Now, the governor hated this priest, the bishop, whatever he's called. He hated him. Couldn't stand it. So, but what is he going to do, right? Now he's got a good point. So suddenly it came into this governor's mind the clear idea, maybe this Rabbi Alik put it there, but it came into his mind this clear idea that the Jews never made any trouble for the governor, and they always supported him, everything that he did, and they always respected him very greatly, and they always paid all of their taxes. They never made any problems. And if there was a Jew that couldn't pay his taxes, another Jew always paid for him, which is a thing that the non-Jews didn't do. They didn't really support one another. So suddenly he says to this priest, he said, you know what, you've got a good point. I think that we should return to the Jews measure for measure. Measure for measure. You should go and get 160 coins, golden coins, and you get someone to run in the Jewish quarter and throw these coins. I mean, you're a bishop, you're a holy man. It should be that we're throwing the coins that should negate what the Jewish people do. And the bishop had no choice but to follow orders. So he had to go and get this money, which is a tremendous amount of money. And he had to maybe run himself. I don't remember from the story. And he had to run himself down in the Jewish quarter and throw this money around. And of course, what happened was the Jews, they got the money. But in fact, the children, the disease, it went away on its own. Later, it took a while. But the Jews, in any case, they stopped getting sick a few weeks earlier before everybody else. And also they got all of their money back. And also the bishop was shamed in front of the governor. And the governor felt a great satisfaction that he was able to defeat the bishop big time in front of everyone. He showed everyone that he, in fact, this bishop had no powers whatsoever. Nobody got healthier because of the bishops throwing the 160 coins as well. So it should be with all of our enemies. Have a good day with Mashiach now.